Well, thanks for joining me. I'm Randy Cross, and this is the Randy Cross Podcast. Kind of a special episode right now because it's Season 5, Episode 1. And I've always been a big 5-1, 51, get it kind of guy. And in honor of that, coincidentally, we've got a former college great offensive lineman, Lombardi Award winner, one of the great guys I've ever met associated with college football and the NFL, former Notre Dame offensive lineman, Lombardi Award winner, Aaron Taylor is going to be joining us, all right? And that'll be a lot of fun, a little bit different format. We're not going to have a whole lot of different episodes and segments and everything else. It's basically just going to be an interview, a little happy trails and happy trails. So let's get to the interview. As promised, I'm joined now by Aaron Taylor, my colleague at CBS Sports Network, former De La Salle High School, former Notre Dame, former Green Bay and San Diego Charger, former Lombardi Award winner. He's got a lot of formers. Currently the founder and CEO of the Joe Moore Award, which has picked up unbelievable steam as one of the major awards now in college football. Here's Aaron Taylor.
What's up, Randy Cross?
You been doing good?
I've been doing good, man. Just enjoying some warm weather coming to Southern California finally. We had some torrential downpour. I think we got a half inch of rain during one storm and maybe 3/4 inches of rain during another storm. But we've weathered those storms, and now it's starting to get warm again. And going to be probably a month or two away from me getting in my mankini.
Yeah, well, heck, I mean, that kind of rain, that's a frog strangler in California. I remember that. You know, you get down here in the South, I'm outside of Atlanta, an inch of rain is a shower.
I'm telling you what, man. I got family in Texas, and all the stuff that they've been through with the storms and the ice. We certainly appreciate how good we've got it out here in Cali, and respect and but don't admire the rest of you that live in areas where the weather can get for real.
Yeah, there's a trade-off on everything. But hey, just out of curiosity, I wanted to go through a few different phases. You know, I mentioned De La Salle initially. How in the heck did you end up at a Catholic high school out in suburban Northern California in the Bay Area?
There's a lot of things I wonder about how in the hell I ended up at different places throughout my life. But the backstory there was Tom Bowen was our athletic director, and Tom was an alumnus of Notre Dame. So when I started getting recruited after my junior season, he was like, man, you got to go check out Notre Dame. It's a special place. It's Catholic, just like De La Salle is, and da-da-da-da-da. And I would later learn that he ended up going to Notre Dame and initially was in the seminary. But he met a girl, I think his sophomore year, across the street at St. Mary's, the all-girls school. And then for whatever reason, maybe decided that maybe the seminary's not for me. But luckily, he stuck around and stayed in campus and ended up graduating and just kind of was brainwashing me right out of the gate, Randy. He was we're past the statute of limitations, but he was putting keychains in my locker that played the fight song and was putting hats in there and just kind of lobbying like crazy. And it ended up being my first trip, my first official visit. It was December 2nd. It was the year after they had won the national championship in '89, after the '89 season. They won it in '88, but I was there in '89. And it was just familiar, dude. When I landed, it's like Catholic Disneyland, but there was, you get a good feeling. Like football is a game of people, and there were really good people there. It was just removed from the national championship. It was year one of the NBC contract. They alternated California games every year between Stanford and USC. So I would always get to come home, and man, it just felt right. And I haven't looked back. It's probably among the best decisions I've ever made, besides marrying my wife and shaving my back.
Yeah. That's too much. That's too much information, by the way. That whole transition, when you were at Notre Dame, you had an unbelievable offensive line coach in Joe Moore. What was he like as far as the kind of coach, what he demanded? I mean, we talk about him all the time in context of the award you founded, but what kind of a coach was he to have as just a person, just a kid in college?
Well, if tough love could manifest and become a person, it would have been Joe Moore, man. He was a shot and beard, chain smoking dude from Pittsburgh, that had this incredible knack of getting us to be the best versions of ourselves. He, as you know, Randy, is by far the best offensive line coach on the collegiate level that's ever existed. Between 18 seasons, 9 at Pitt and 9 at Notre Dame, he sent 52 guys to the NFL. Never had a senior starter for him at Notre Dame in 9 seasons that didn't go to the league. And many of those are NFL and college football Hall of Famers, guys like Russ Grimm and Jimbo Covert and Bill Fralick and Mark Stepnowski, and on and on and on. So what made him so good, though, was he had this incredible ability to get us to be the best versions of ourselves. He knew how to push our buttons and how to motivate us. And it was tough at times, but we always were able to believe that we were capable of accomplishing more than we thought. And he almost took pride in that. But to a person that played for him, he absolutely maxed out our potential and taught us what our capabilities were. And for that, man, that's the toughness and the teamwork and being part of something greater than yourself and the sacrifice necessary and starting the fight, swinging the axe, all those sort of things that, help you out later in life when the chips are down and those sort of things we all got for 4 straight years at Notre Dame. And that's a real essence of why we created an award, not just to preserve his name, but to preserve the principles of toughness and teamwork that he made sure that all of his players understood.
And now that we talked a little bit about Joe and some about his award, I know this year Alabama won. And not an exceedingly close vote. I mean, they were pretty amazing. How unusual was this season for an offensive line competition? Because it seems like year in and year out, there are groups, as you come to mid-season and later, is kind of that fall away time in the year when it comes to how guys are performing.
Man, that's a great question. And you know how it is because you're one of our voters, man. Like teams don't get lathered up till week 4 or 5 or 6. Like we joke about the fact that, wide receivers and running backs and DBs, those are the quote unquote skill players, but they're not. They're the athletic players. Offensive linemen are the most skilled, fundamentally sound, and dependent position in the game of football. So that critical practice time, the critical spring practice time that didn't took place really had an impact across the board for a lot of units. And that's really what separated out Alabama from many of the others. The other finalists were Notre Dame, and they had a great line. 4 guys are going to get drafted off of that unit. Texas A&M was another finalist. They're going to have a couple guys get taken off of that unit. They're a young unit that may have a chance upcoming this season. But the thing that impressed us the most was the physicality and the finish of Alabama. Their technique was sound. Kyle Flood has done an amazing job. He's now moved on and followed Sark to Texas, so expect the Longhorns unit to get quite a bit better. But you'd watch Alex Leatherwood, who's a tackle that people are going to hear his name called in the draft upcoming in a couple weeks, and just watch how smooth he is. Watch the way he would be able to reach on backside blocks, play side blocks, the double teams, how good he was in space, the ability to put the brakes on and brace. But I think the thing that caught all of our attention was Landon Dickerson, man, their center. This dude epitomized what bludgeoning people and being a prick at the offensive line position is all about, man. He was fun to watch. And I think obviously we're always watching Alabama, but you couldn't watch all those great receivers in that offense and Mac Jones and all of that eye candy that was prolific and record-breaking in many respects. All of us would start watching that stuff, but we would always end up at the offensive line because what they did in that conference, in a conference-only schedule, in my opinion, was somewhat unprecedented.
Yeah, I mean, for you, you were the 16th pick of the first round. Green Bay picked you. What was your preconceived notion of what the NFL would be like when you got there?
Man, that's a great question. We were coming through a run
I only asked that because mine was wrong.
it they're grown men. I had the pleasure, unfortunate pleasure of blocking one of your 49er alums and Bryant Young on a daily basis. So it was that times 32 across the board. And BY was so special and unique because he was both strong and quick. And in college, you usually got one or the other. You got the real big, heavy dude that was 330 and could squat and lift, the entire weight room, or you got the small, undersized, 275-pound guy that was really light, but you had to be good fundamentally with your feet because they would make you miss and you'd end up striking air. Well, in the league, those two things got together and had a baby, and it's front sevens across the board. And the creatures that we would see on a daily basis, once I got there, it was a challenge. I'll be honest, man. Like, I didn't give up a sack, I don't think, in college, and I ended up giving up more pressures and I think a sack or two in mini camp of our very first practice in Green Bay, and had more struggles there than I did my entire senior year. So I don't know if I fully appreciated what was necessary to be successful at the NFL, and just how gifted athletically the defensive line that I would be asked to block would end up being. And that's the Leon Letts of the world I saw a couple times a year. Warren Sapp a couple times a year, Hall of Famer, John Randall a couple times a year, and on and on and on. Those dudes were dudes. And I think, as good as Michigan and Michigan State and Stanford and USC were, back in the day when we were playing them, none of them had any sort of the personnel that I would see on a day in, day out basis on Sundays.
Whew. And you were in both Green Bay and San Diego, right?
Yep.
You played with the Packers. Now, did you play with the Packers in the San Diego Super Bowl?
Yeah, I was there for both. On the field blocking for Brett Favre for two of his three MVP years. We went to Super Bowl 31, the first time that they had been and won a Super Bowl in 30 plus years. We brought the title back to Titletown, beating New England down in the Superdome. And then the next year we made it back. We won the NFC Championship again and ended up playing the Denver Broncos and John Elway and old horse teeth when he did that helicopter spin, and Terrell Davis just gashing us on outside zone. Man, it was a little too late for us, and they got us, man. We were out coached in the first half. Greg Robinson, their defensive coordinator, did a masterful job of bastardizing all their fronts and their blitzes. So they broke all of our rules. So going into that game, we changed all of our rules. And I know you came out of the West Coast system. Mm-hmm. So on a two-jet protection, which is like a half slide protection, where we block the 4 down lineman and the will linebacker, in certain looks in two-jet, we would block the 4 down in the mic and basically turn it to 24 base protection. But it was like all based on what we were assuming they were going to do. So when they came out and broke all that, it was half the plays were blocked the new way, half the plays were blocked the old way. And it was just a mess, man. We were chasing our tails. We finally got settled down, but yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up.
Oh, yeah. Hey, the main reason I wanted to have you on, besides, we're good friends and the banter is always kind of fun, I wanted to really make a point of congratulating you on a long overdue honor, being recognized by the College Football Hall of Fame in this current class, the 2021 class, which, like the NFL Hall of Fame class, is going to have 2 classes. The 20 and the 21 will go in at the same time. It's going to look like an entire fraternity going in when that thing happens in Atlanta.
Oh man, it's going to be great. And what a unique opportunity for me to be able to not only go in with my class, but to be able to watch the next group and the next crop, or the previous crop rather, of guys that are going in because of COVID. And I got to tell you, man, like I had a sense that maybe it was going to happen. You mentioned the word long overdue, and it was my fifth and final time to be up, and my pedigree, I thought, kind of stood on its own. But I'll be honest, man, it's weird getting recognized for something you ain't done in like 35 years, right? It's like that hay's been in the barn quite a while. So I've always been really proud of what I was able to do at Notre Dame. I still think to this day, I'm the last two-time unanimous consensus All-American back-to-back that they've had there. And there's been a slug of guys that have come through. Oh, yeah. But the thing that stood out the most, and my wife called me, I had gotten COVID in early January, so I had to isolate during wild card weekend, which I know I had to watch those triple headers back-to-back all by myself.
On your couch.
On somebody else's couch.
Oh, that's right.
That had a beach condo. Yeah, it was.
That's too bad.
So my wife calls me and she goes, "Did you make it to the Hall of Fame?" I'm like, "I don't think so." She's like, "I just got a box and opened it, and there's a football in it with your name on it."
That is exactly how I found out. And they haven't.
You tell me your story.
Well, I got a box. It was on my front door. On my, UPS guy knocks on the door, walks away. There's a box on my door. So I get it, I open it up, I look inside, and it's one of those painted footballs. And it's got the National Football Foundation logo on it and whatnot. It says Randy Cross, UCLA College Football Hall of Fame. I'm like, God, I'm honored, but that's a weird way to find out. I couldn't believe it.
Well, I mean, we just saw the NFL Hall of Fame, and they're walking up to John Lynch's door, knocking on the door, and have the camera crew, and all this fanfare. But I got to be honest, it was just as humbling, and that moment was just as precious. But I was like, I didn't believe my wife. I was like, "Baby, FaceTime me. Let me see this thing."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, damn, look at that." And I was like, "Man."
Do you ask her if they sent you Aaron Taylor's ball from Nebraska?
Oh, buddy. See, look at you trying to scrape them scabs off. Oh, there may or may not have been some misunderstanding about which Aaron Taylor was voted for, but that's another story for another time.
That's true.
I went to bed that night and woke up the next morning, and I keep a gratitude journal just so I make sure I keep my brain focused on the stuff that's good versus all the stuff I want changed in the world and politics and all sorts of places. So yeah. I started writing down like every name of every person, place, and thing that played a role in that moment and recognition for me. And there were 100+ names on there. And it was the 49ers were on there because growing up as a kid, I fell in love with the 49ers after being a Raider fan. In '80, when they left and went to LA, they became the Traders. So I adopted the 49ers as my new home team. And boy, did I time that up right.
Good timing, yeah.
Really, really well. So in that process, man, I went through and started calling all the people on that list, and the amount of text messages and emails and phone calls I got really was that was the best part of it. It was so humbling, but it made me realize just how lucky I've been to be associated with so many great people. And I'm talking like parents of high school teammates reaching out. Ron Wolf, the GM at Green Bay, who I hadn't talked to since I left as a free agent and went to San Diego, the dude that drafted me, sent me a text. I hadn't talked to him in 15 years.
Yeah.
And it was that over and over and over. And that's why this game is the greatest that's ever been made. But it's not about X's and O's, man. It's about the people. And as much of an individual honor as it was a collective achievement, because there is zero chance I could have done anything in my life, including playing football, without the help and love and support of all the people on that list.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's that encapsulates almost exactly the way I felt when it happened for me. Because I played my last game was New Year's Day of '76, and I was in the College Football Hall of Fame class of 2010.
Yeah, man.
And I just remember, I didn't know I was up. I didn't know it was possible. I hadn't even kept track. It was like, yeah, okay, sure. But yeah, it's very humbling. Have you started getting some of the literature where you get the numbers as far
Yeah.
as the number of people that have played college football and how many are actually in the Hall of Fame?
That was incredible. I'm looking around and trying to remember where that piece of paper is. I've kept it. It's in my office somewhere, but it was, since 19, whatever, 5 million, 837,000, whatever it is, people have played football, but there's only this small percentage of people that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it ends up being like, the classic 0.1% of people that have played this game. And like, I just think about the dudes I had on my team that were dudes just on my team times 100 plus years, 150 years, 200 years of this game. It's incredible, man. And football is the gift that keeps on giving, man. I'm almost 50 years old. I've been on scholarship since I've been like 14. I'm so damn grateful for this game. It's at the basis of everything that's good in my life.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. Hey, have you trailed much of what's going on here coming up here pretty quick for the NFL draft? You got any bodies, specifically O linemen for fans to keep an eye out for?
Well, I think the crown jewel and maybe the safest player in the entire draft is Penei Sewell, the tackle out of Oregon. He opted out this season. I really think this young man has a chance to be the next Anthony Munoz. He doesn't look like he's got the length to play tackle because he's so compact and so strong. He's 6'6", 330 plus pounds. But you want to talk about a dude that's built different, and his mindset and demeanor. He's like a dang pit bull. He can get up to the second level. He can accelerate his feet on contact. He's the consummate pro, could play all three positions if needed. But for my money, Penei Sewell is the safest player in the draft. He's kind of like Quentin Nelson was several years back when Indianapolis drafted him. It's rare that you get a guy that doesn't need much tinkering, but for me and my money, Penei Sewell is going to be a top 5 pick, and without question, going to be the first of a very deep and very talented offensive line group that's coming out this year.
What are your thoughts on Pitts? Is somebody going to take him in the top 5, do you think?
He warrants it. I think he's probably the biggest game changer, that when we look back 10 years from this draft, that he will be among the 3 or 4 players that have had the biggest impact on the next decade of football in the NFL. He is a damn freak show, Randy. He's like, if we were watching tape on him all season long, and you would see what he would do. He runs like a wide receiver, but he's built like a damn tight end. He's got a catch radius. You throw it anywhere within 5-yard radius of him, he's going to go up and contort his body and come down with it. If that young man can stay healthy, he's going to be a game changer and could set the bar for what we expect at a good tight end play in the NFL. And we are right smack dab in the middle of an era of the best tight end play we've ever seen.
All right. Top 3 quarterbacks drafted. The order is important after 1. Who do you think are 2 and 3?
We're hearing a lot of buzz about Zach Wilson out of BYU. And I'll be honest, his tape a season ago from 2019 wasn't all that impressive. There was some decision-making stuff. His arm didn't look real good, and he was okay. But whatever happened with the surgery that he had, holy smokes, his arm went from being good to very good to elite in 1 season. Now, I know the quality of competition and the tape from this year wasn't what you would want, but his ability to throw on the move with accuracy, to dissect defenses, to go through his read progressions, to anticipate, to throw guys open, to have enough mobility to extend the chains and pick up first downs when things break down. This kid's growing on me as well. And I look at the guys behind him. I think Zach Wilson has the skill set to rival a Trevor Lawrence, who is clearly the number 1 and the cream of the crop. He's a finished product. But I think the kid out of BYU's done a masterful job, in what he's done in the postseason this spring with the workouts and those sort of things have really solidified and put him a smidge ahead of the Justin Fields of the world.
Yeah, so if we got, let's see, Trevor Lawrence to the Jaguars, then you got Zach Wilson goes to the Jets. Good luck with that. Seems like a good kid. Wish him the best, but good luck with that. That means the Niners sitting at 3 have got a chance of getting Justin Fields. If you're at 3 and you're San Francisco, do you need the young quarterback that bad, or do you go with Pitts, or do you go with somebody like Sewell, or do you? I mean, the quarterback's all they talk about in the Bay Area. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo now suddenly didn't go to a Super Bowl year before last. He got hurt, and that's unforgivable. But that's another subject. Do you think they go Fields?
Man, a quarterback solves a lot of their problems, but what about Kittle on one side and Pitts on the other? Oh, have fun with that. That would be a defensive coordinator's nightmare. Like, usually have mismatches with the number 1 wide receiver on the outside. If you've got it with 2 tight ends with is savvy and creative as a play caller as Shanahan holy smokes. At the end of the day, if there's a quarterback there, I think they take him. But my money, if I were in that room, the dude I'd be standing up on the table for would be Kyle Pitts, the tight end. Justin Fields is a good player. He's got a great work ethic. I know there's been some stuff this offseason where people have been going back and forth about that. The thing that impressed me the most was how that kid played hurt in meaningful championship games. Like, that's all as an offensive lineman, Randy, you know, that we need to see out of the dude. He's got, you know, the arm that can make all the throws and those sort of things. But I don't know if I'm willing to hitch my entire franchise wagon on a guy that may or may not work out, especially since we saw Dwayne Haskins coming out of a very similar situation, even though they're 2 entirely different people. And that was the primary factor there. Kyle Pitts is a no-brainer. There's zero downside by taking him, and given what you've already got there, tight ends are a quarterback's best friend. I think Jimmy G would be more than happy to throw the dude that was wearing 84 at Florida all season.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Hey, I know you got to go pick up the kids, and I don't want to get in trouble with Lena. So you go ahead. I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you down the road here when we're in the studio in New York.
I look forward to it, Randy. Always a pleasure to come on with you, partner.
Oh, man. Thanks. Well, thank you again to Aaron. That was fantastic stuff. I really hope you enjoyed it. He's a good man, and that's a well-deserved, long overdue honor for him to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Want to thank y'all for watching. I want to remind you where you find us, randycross.com. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, all the social media platforms, plus. So, but you can always find this podcast at randycross.com. And as we like to do, no matter the format on our particular podcast that week, we end things by saying happy trails.